A re rapeleng. Modimo mothata yotlhe wena o leng esimo a boya botlhale le kitso. Rona batlhanka ba gago ba re kopaneng hano ka ntlha ya leina la gago. Re ne le gompieno botlhale jwa gago ja sele godimo. Gore kaela mo dithering sa jong tsotlhe sa rona. O bo re neele gape poifo a leina la gago. Le go kgapela kwa thoko dikgatlhego tsotlhe tsa rona. Gore merero le dikgakololo tsa rona di ise kgalalelong ya leina la gago. Tshiamo, kagiso le thitibalo mo hatseng leno la rona. Go isa popaganong ya setšhaba sa rona ka ntlha ya leina la ga Jesu Kriste morena le moleki wa rona. Amen.
Pray be seated. Order, honorable members, let's start business of today with questions. Prince Mosanana, MP, Kanye East.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Question number 1.
Honorable Minister of Local Government and Traditional Affairs. Okay, Assistant Minister.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, while we appreciate the members' concern, I would like to confirm that there is no health post facility at the Mamonkge. Instead, the health needs of the community are met through a mobile outreach service conducted monthly by the Lotlhakane East Clinic. Madam Speaker, given that Mamonkge has an estimated population of 60 people, the provision of health services through mobile outreach is consistent with the standard practice for similar communities of a similar size, which is guided by the revised national policy number of 2004. This service model is effective and relies on the valuable support of the local community, particularly in securing a suitable service point for the visiting health teams. The current plan is to sustain and optimize the mobile service, ensuring the residents continue to receive necessary care without the immediate need for a fixed facility. Ka bokhutshwane, Madam Speaker, re lebogela potso ya mo palamente, mme re batla go tlhomamisa gore gone ko Mamongkgekwa ga gona mobile ga gona health post, ka jalo ba thusiwa ka yone mobile health services, mme re dira ka gotlhe go latela ba setšhaba ko ba nnang teng, mme re lema gore batho ba botlhe ba ba ka tshwara palo tsa 60 ka jalo go ya ka tsamaiso le thulaganyo ba tla nna ntse ba thusiwa jalo ka go tlhomamisegang ka teng gore ba bone dithuso tsa kalafi. Ke a leboga.
Supplementary.
Supplementary, Honorable Masanana.
Ke a go leboga, Madam Speaker. Ke be ke leboge ministera ka karabo eo. Me gongwe ke lebise ministera gore kana lehelo le re buang ka lone le ministerale. It's very far from Lotlhakane. Number 2, structure se sa agilweng ko sa agilwe ka ditena tsa mmu hela mmu go foromiwa ditena ka mmu, and ga gona any other structure there se leng gore ka re ha pula ena apart from sone se sa agilweng ka motse se leng gore ka re ha pula ena batho ba tshabela mo go sone, mme ebile sone structure se ha pula e kana ka medupi yana nako e telele go tla bo go le kotsi mo go masomo mo bathong ka gore obviously go tla re ba tshabele mo teng mo e leng gore se ka nna sa collapse sa ba wela ga nna le mathata tsela go tswa gone ko lehelong le re buang ka lone le la Mamongkge it's very bad, very, very bad. Go ya ko skontiring, which will lead to the nearest clinic. Jaanong minister ke botsa gore yone mobile clinic e ke utlwang o bua ka yone mo kgweding ba ya ga kae ko Mamongkge ka gore bolwetse yone ga bo eme yone bo ruta hela go sa kgathalesege gore go iragala jang. Ke a go leboga, Madam Speaker.
Honorable Minister.
Thank you, the honorable member. Ne ke re ka bokhutshwane ke tlhomamisitse mo karabong ya me goreng go ba maruri ga rena health post ko teng, seo ke go tlhomamisa, mme ke be ke supa goreng tsamaiso hela e leng gore ya diragala ke gore ba etelwa gangwe hela mo kgweding. Se se re gore puso e itumelela seemo se se leng teng sone sa go etelela gangwe hela, mme ebile ke tlhalositse gape gore re tla nitamisa go bona gore re nna gaufi le bone thata go eta jaaka ntse re gaufi le bone go bona gore ba tla thusiwa jang, mme ke bangwe ba e leng gore mo ditsamaisong tsa puso jaaka ntse re tsweletse re dumela gore ke bone ba ba ka qualifyelang gore mo bogaufing jaaka o itse re sa tse go approve mo go teng ke the National Development Plan number 12 ba ka iphitlhela ano ba na le a health post e thomamisegileng, mme for now nka go akarabo e thomame gore tsamaiso e leng teng ke yone ke tlhalositse mo totegi nka seo ke tse marago ka matapa gore ke go bolele bonnete jone jo ka gore ke mathata a re a hitlhela re le puso gore for 58 years batho ga ba ise ba bone thuso ebile ga ise ba lemoge gore ba tshela, mme re le puso e sa maikelelo ke go ba thomamisa gore re tla dira tsotlhe tse di molemo go ba thusa. Ke a leboga se.
Honorable Victor Poloholo, MP Kanye West.
Ke tla ya motsela, Madam Speaker.
Thank you. Honorable Sam Dihwa, MP Boteti West.
Ke tla mo itsela.
Thank you. Honorable Unity Dow, MP Khatleng West.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, question number 4.
Honorable Minister, Child Welfare and Basic Education. Honorable Minister of Child Welfare and Basic Education. Honorable Hunyep, are you there?
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Since ke tsoma, o ta e ntshwarela motsotso yana, Madam Speaker. Honorable Dra, 110 tot. Ma? Madam Speaker, it is a get well.
Honorable Bipuso Lucas, MP Bubiro.
Procedure, Madam Speaker. Procedure.
Procedure, Honorable.
Ke a leboga, Madam Speaker. Ga ke a utlwa karabo.
Arosanza Isink,
Ehe,
Momaranyani.
Okay, thank you.
Honorable Lucas.
Madam Speaker, question number 5.
Honorable Minister of Lands and Agriculture.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, the waiting list as defined by the number of applications for residential plots in Bubiro constituency as a whole sits at 26,960 as derived from the standardized repository and data usage tool as at November 2025. Those applicable to the 4 specific areas mentioned, Madam Speaker, Bubonong, 10,003, Tsitsijwe, 5,881, Kubojanku, 1,093, Matatani, 1,233. Part 1 of the question, Madam Speaker, in terms of what the land boards are currently seized with, there are about 145,978 applications for plowing fields, of which 2,749 are in the Bubiro constituency. Bubonong, 1,714, Mutlabaneng, 145, Molala Tau, 537, Tsitsijwe, 112, Matatani, 84, Moletemani, 67, Kubojango, 45, Semolale, 21, Mabole, 14, Lepokole, 10. These applications include those submitted as registration of Bogosi allocations. Madam Speaker, there are several challenges facing the processing of applications for plowing fields. The land boards have realized that in some cases, there are inconsistencies and delays in confirming the Bogosi allocations. This results in multiple allocations and disputes which usually take a very long time to resolve. Moreover, the shortage of land in some areas has resulted in an influx of applications of registrations and inheritance of twins alleged to have been used by either grandparents or great-grandparents. This imposes a challenge, as most of these registrations are in the communal grazing area. Furthermore, there are boundary issues between villages which contribute to land disputes. Madam Speaker, many allocated fields remain undeveloped and unmarked, resulting in objections and disputes related to plowing field allocations. Part 2, Madam Speaker, business plots were last allocated in the villages of Bubono, Madinare, Lerala in July 2024, while in Maunatala, the last allocations were in 2006. Madam Speaker, the last commercial plot allocation in Silbepikwe was in November 2025, being allocations to investors facilitated by SPEDU. Other business plots outside the SPEDU land bank were allocated in 2018, of which 19 were advertised and only 2 applicants were responsive. 30 business plots were allocated in July 2024 by Bobono Subland Board, following advertisement of 129 plots within its jurisdiction, being 68 at Molala Tau, 61 in Bobono. The reason for failure to allocate all the plots is that some were not tendered for, while others, those who showed interest could not meet the award criteria. The 3 plots were allocated in Madinari village at phase 3, being 2 multi-family residential plots and 1 civic and community. 11 business plots were allocated within Madinari Subland Board area of jurisdiction in June 2024, being Damchujina, 3 industrial and 1 civic community, Tobani, 2 industrial, 1 commercial, and 1 multifamily residential. Madam Speaker, 48 plots were advertised by the Monatala Subland Board in June 2023. 4 plots attracted bidders and were allocated at Kahudi and Tamasan, being 2 plots each. The remaining 44 plots will be re-advertised during the financial year of 2026-2027. Madam Speaker, 21 commercial plots were allocated in Lerala village in July 2024. The Palapa Subland Board advertised 92 plots in 2023 within its area of jurisdiction, of which 31 were in Lerala, that is 16 Koradisele, 25 Komajwaneng, 6 Komukungwani, and 14 Koratolo. The advert for Palapa village commercial plots was cancelled following advice on reduction of plot sizes from 7 hectares. Thus, was to accord as many applicants as possible an opportunity to be allocated a commercial plot. The issue is still being addressed administratively with a view to retender in the early 2026-2027 financial year. Part 3, Madam Speaker, my ministry has initiated the process to review the Botswana Land Policy of 2019 and the land laws. One of the key issues is access to land and the modalities being used to dispose different types of land uses. The reviews are intended to address the concerns raised by Botswana, mostly dealing with access to land by different groups. This review will cover the modalities used to allocate land to churches, among others. Madam Speaker, at the moment, to address the issue of competition within the civic and community land use category, the district and urban councils in designing layouts have zoned some plots specifically as places of worship and to some extent designed what they term church enclave. I thank you, Madam Speaker.
Supplementary.
Supplementary, Honorable Lucas.
Ke a leboga Petona. Magisi muleka ya dikereke raiso. Me motho a botse gore kana dikereke di dintsi tse di batang le hatsi ke a utlwa gore wa re le hantse le mo tshekatshekong. Me ne re le ha re wetsa parlamente e hitileng e be le gore go ne go supagala gore me ha dikereke di neng di se ka di peile teng go ka nna le thulaganyo ya gore gongwe gone gong di bewe teng a ke tsora thulaganyo no kile ke ne re le mmogo ne o kile wa e utlwa mme ke re a e hantse le teng thulaganyo eo yone ya gore le hantse le ba molao Tribal Land Act e wela leng ka gore dikereke tse dintsi di tsenela mo ditanteng di tsenela mo malapeng a batho ha ngwe di tsosa dikgothang le tse dingwe hela yalo le lebile nako e ka hiraiso ga ya dikereke e tshwenya hela thata gona ga re ba buelela go ba rapelele gore le hatsile le tsamaye sente ya bobedi ke ya masimo raiso kana wena o minister wa agriculture gape mme ke re go lebega gona le 145,000 applications tsa masimo a go mo ha ke ga re digela go tase mabapi le go bata gore re ne le hatse le le ijesa mme ha re go ntse jalo 145,000 yo maikelo ke go motlera leng gore batswana ba te ba leme bile dipula ke tse di nele mo ngwageng wa gompieno ka gore 145,000 ke bona ile palo e go godimo hela thata e ne bata go attendiwa go le nako ya bo hello rights ke gore potso ya mohuto ono ke buditse gape a re tsamaela go tswala parlamente hitile go ne go supagala gore di application batho ba mo waiting list ba 19,000 gompieno go uta gore 26,000 ke re go ha go lebega di oketsega batho ba oketsega ba ba mo waiting list ke re mme o dira go he go sa seemo se ka gore yana o ka re mo thulaganyo e ntšha o ka re batho yana ba oketsega ba ba mo waiting list ke re o tontshepise gore o dira eng se se ka fokotsa waiting list ye substantially mo nako e khutshwane. Ke a leboga raetsho.
Further supplementary.
Honorable Minister.
Ke a go leboga Madam Speaker, ke go leboga thata Motlotegi Lucas. Ne ke re ke a re kana potso ya gago o ne o botsa sentle tota. O tshwenyegile ka dikgang tsa dikereke tse le kgang tse di tshwenyang, di tshwenya gongwe le gongwe hela. Mme ke ne ke go itekodisa gore kana go ntse go na le thulaganyo e leng teng ya gore go nne le this competitive bidding ya dikereke. Ke go bolela gore even di-councele ga go harologana di tle ka maranyane kana ka botlhale jwa go le ka go zona dikereke thologelo le le nosi gore ba kgone go heosa gore ba kgone go nna teng. Mme yaka ke bua rra re letlelele re lebelele ke tsa gore o ka nna borai mo go rona Motlotegi Lucas gore re re mo le mokwa leng teng go bewa teng le ba bantseng ke ra gore le yona ke bona o e tshoga gore tota se kganye re ka tsena mo gone. Ke tsa gore nna le wena re dumelane gore re ne re ipaakanyetse go baakanya melao ye gore ko bokelong re hose gore dikereke di bewe ka gore re tlhokana le merapelo rra. Ke dumelana le wena tlhokana le merapelo gore ba nne ba re beye gape le ga Ramasedi. Kgang e ya 145,000 ke di-application ga se tse di tlhotlhilweng tse dingwe mo no ntse o na le gone ga waiting list ke mo tlhotlhilweng, application ke mo santseng go le teng hela go le magoboka. O tla ela tlhoko gore dipalo tse dingwe ke di go neela mo metseng ya mengwe di-application di heta population ya metse a teng go raya gore o itlhaele gore batho ba tsenya hela ka dipalo tse dintsi. Mme kgotlho e tona re na le one omoloke gore re beile masimo a re a beileng ga itse ba a develope a mangwe ke a bogosi a bogologolo a e leng gore ko go na le dikgang tse di sa heleng ka dikgang tse tsa masimose. Ke re le lona mapalamente le re thuseng gore dikgang tse di dingalo le baemedi ba batho ne le bueng le bone le re thuseng ka bone ka koo gore re se go nantse re la dikgang tse tsa mekono di itsa gore re hegoge gore ga re nang le lehatshe teng re kgone go ba masimo. Mme mo karabong ye ke le tla e bona e phatlhaletse thata ke anamisitse thata le dikgaolo tse tsotlhe tse gore re supe gore mo masimong di-land board ka go harologana re tsamaya ka dikgwetlho tsa rona keng. Ke tsaya gore tla re ga le e buisa ke pamphlet-eng yana hela le tla kgona gore e le thuse thata bakalong. Ke a leboga.
Supplementary.
Supplementary. Honorable Manage.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Tota kana kganye ya letlhoko la ditsha a e kane le tsa motse ampo tsa kgwebampo yang hela le re ama rotlhe mo Botswana ko molepolle go le west mme kana gate where there is a will there is a way ko re gompie ko yana re na le bonno housing scheme. All of a sudden they are able ba khona gore ba bone dikidi tsa ditsha chunks of land gore go go mo teng. A ministry wa gago ga o le ke gore o dira hela jaaka wa ye go bonweng la ga re mo gapi honorable mo gapi a galele ke gore le lona le senke dikidi tsa ditsha masimo le di hetole mo go tsa residential or commercial. Thank you, Madam.
Minister.
Ya leboga Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, ke tsa gore ke buile kgang ye makgetho a le mmala mme ke e boelele gape le hatshe ga le gole dikgatlhago tsa tiriso le hatshe di a gola gongwe le gongwe ko o bonang re ra ba teng ra bo re reka le hatshe mo go bone ba baho bao ba bangwe ba turisa le go heta ba bangwe go na le dikgotlo tse di seng kanang ka sepe. Keletso e tona ke gore re hegogele gore mo le mo a kgone go bewa lehatshe. Thulaganyo re nang le one ya bonno kana ke lehatshe le e leng gore ra bo re le na ministry wa gare ra mogapi mme o tla tlhala gore bontsi jwa lehatshe le mo mahelong a mangwe ke lehatshe le ne ntse le le teng le la bobhc mme keletso gore tota Batswana ba bewe lehatshe mme se lehatshe hela ra mogapi ka thulaganyo e siameng thata kana re ra mogapi ene o bua ka gore batho ba na le access to housing e seng ploto hela mo e leng gore puso e go emetse thata ra ka dinao mme ne ke re go supporteng thata ke mogopolo hela o duleng di atla o ka re berekelang. Ke a leboga.
Honorable Malusi Mpingange. Thank you. Honorable Kamal Jacobs, MP Lobatse.
I thank you, Madam Speaker. Question number 7.
Honorable Minister of State President.
Madam Speaker, government acknowledges the need to establish.
Order, honorable members.
Ke a leboga, Madam Speaker.
Gogela mic ha go ena a little bit, Minister.
Madam Speaker, government acknowledges the need to establish a national register for sex offenders to provide public awareness and protect our communities against sex crimes. The register, however, has not yet been established since the enactment of the Sexual Offenders Registry Act of 2021. Section 6 of the Act, which provides the legal basis for the establishment and operalization of the register is ongoing. Ke a leboga, Honorable Lucas. It is worth noting that whilst the register has been established, it will be open to the public. The institutional and administrative mechanisms required to bring the register into effect still remain pending. However, consideration to operationalize it is currently being evaluated with significant resource implications, including establishment of Sexual Offenders Intersectoral Council with Secretariat. Madam Speaker, establishment of the register involves multiple key stakeholders, including the Botswana Police Service, Botswana Prison Service, Department of Justice, Immigration Services, and other relevant agencies. The technical, administrative, and security considerations required for an integrated and reliable national system necessitate careful coordination among these stakeholders before full implementation can take place. Madam Speaker, I'm aware that the National Register for Sex Offenders is of course necessary, and it can serve as an important tool in providing statistical information that may support evidence-based policy making and socio-economic planning. Madam Speaker, I'm also aware that the register can deter sexual offenses by strengthening accountability frameworks and aligning Botswana with international standards and foreign jurisdictions that maintain similar registries as part of broader efforts to address and prevent sex crimes. I thank you, Madam Speaker.
Supplementary, Madam Speaker.
Supplementary, Honorable Jacobs.
Thank you so much, Madam Speaker. Madam Minister, thank you so much. But my question, Madam Speaker, is may the Minister further clarify whether government has undertaken any comparative assessment with countries that have successfully implemented an open public sex offender register, and if so, whether such an assessment has indicated an improvement in public protection and reduced incidence of sex crimes. Additionally, Madam Speaker, can the Minister inform the Honourable House whether the Office of the Information Regulator will be adequately empowered to resource to ensure that the management of the National Register adheres to the international data protection standards, while still allowing timely access for the safety to our countries? I thank you, Madam Speaker.
Honourable Minister.
Thank you very much for that very long question, or questions rather. Honourable Jacobs. However, at this stage, let me go back, make clarifications. And then I'll come back to this house. Speaking from the top of my head, if that's okay with you, Honourable. Thank you.
Thank you so much, ma'am.
Honourable Mpomorolong, MP Kgatleng Central.
Ke a leboga motsamaisi dipuisano tsa Palamente. Potso ke ya bo fera bobedi.
Minister for State President.
Ke a leboga, Madam Speaker. Thank you, Honorable, for potso ya gago. Madam Speaker, at present there's no established legal framework for the expungement of fingerprints or records to minor offenses. However, the government is aware that many reformed and rehabilitated ex-offenders continue to experience persistent stigma, discrimination, and particularly in accessing employment and other opportunities. These challenges, of course, Madam Speaker, undermine the reintegration into society and may, in some cases, reverse the progress made through rehabilitation initiatives. Despite these challenges, there's a presidential pardon where individuals may apply for pardon to the President of the Republic of Botswana, and of course, depending on the gravity of the matter, such pardon will of course be granted, allowing employment and the said employment of the said individual. Madam Speaker, in light of these concerns, the proposal to develop a legal framework for the expungement of records for minor offenses is indeed worthy of very careful consideration. Government is committed to exploring this matter with a view of determining an appropriate and comprehensive policy approach that both safeguards public interest and supports the restoration of dignity for rehabilitated individuals. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Supplementary.
Supplementary, Honorable Morolo.
Manyara ke a go utlwa tona. Mme ne ke re ke o go tlhalosa go le go nyenyana gore kana mme re tsere tshwetso ya gore goromenta wa ditshwanelo. Mme kana ga re bua ka ditshwanelo re tsenya le mongwe le bone bana tota. A ra re ga re ka jera itlhaganela go hedisa bothata bo ka bo he ho jo bokalo re lebeletse gore goromenta wa ditshwanelo. In the absence of a legal framework, ga gona lentswe le gongwe le ka tswa mo tautona ka gore ga bua ke policy. Mme ha ile gore mo ga ka diragala gore bogolo re itlhaganela gore o tla ka molao e leng gore ga batho ga ba tshelele mo bothateng jo bokana sa bohelo. Tona wa itse gore le ha o bua ka presidential pardon ya go tshimolela batho menwana go ofising ya tautona. Bothata bo batho ba itemogelang ke gore le ga ba phimoletse menwana ke tautona di-institution dingwe le dikomponi dingwe tse di tona mo lehatshe la Botswana di ntse di gana go ba hira ka yone background eo hela ya gore motho o kila a tshwarwa le ga a phimoletse menwana ke tautona a ofisi ya gago ya we ka diemo tse di ntseng yalo. Madam Minister, ke a leboga.
Honorable Minister.
Ke a leboga, Honorable. Se se nkgatlhileng ke ha no bua thata ka gore a ga gona kana ga re kgone go tlisa molao gape le ga palamente re molao e leng gore ra dumalana re baakanya tsone dio tse di tshwanang le tse Honorable Morolong. Ke kgakololo hela e siameng e le gore ra e amogela, and gongwe ha o ka tlisa such, you can make a proposition like that before this Honorable House. We will carefully look at it and vote on it, of course. Now, yeng wa gape ke utleng o bua ka yona, Honorable, ke gore are we aware as a ministry of the cases tse leng gore batho la ha ba ntse ba phimoletswe monwana ke tautona dikomponi kana batho ba bangwe ba ba supa ka monwana and ba gana go ba hira based on history yone eo era gone re tle re nne le di cases tse di ntseng yalo batho ba tla go ikuela go go rona. Mme kana hela ba maru ba kgang ke gore ga re kgone, we cannot overstep the boundary line as government and re pateletsa di company gore ba hira batho ka mabaka a bona ba lebelletseng. Se re ka se dirang hela ke go nna hela re ntse re encourage, re create awareness campaigns. I know the Justice Department has a very robust robust activities just around rehabilitating former offenders hela and just reintegrating them into society. Me hela, gwa rona hela, re hella mo go gakoleng le go aphila hela ko go tautona ya ka ba phila yana ebe ba phadiniwa. But ke dikgang tse eleng gore re tla tswella hela re ntse re di lebella re ntse re gakolana re bona gore mme gone like you rightly pointed out, as a human rights centric government re dirang to ensure that no member of society is left behind irrespective of their past. Jalo le jalo, Honorable Morolong. Ke a leboga.
Supplementary.
Honorable Mona.
Na isalaka ke nna Vaseline na isalaka ke nna mo parlamente wa Molepolle South ke na go itemogela gore go a diega tota honorable minister gore itshwarelo yeo ya baneng ba gatisitswe menwana e be go phimolwa aka ke ntse ana ke na le ba le about 4 ba ke neng ka ba saenela ka ile gore maparlamenta a tsora a saene mme go se go hitile ampore ngwaga ba ise ba neelwe go phimolwa moo ke re le go lebe thata Madam Speaker a go lebe thata ko ministering wa bone. Thank you. Go diwa ke eng mme gone hela tota?
Honorable Minister.
Ke a leboga motlotlegi. Nya dikgang tseo tsa go diega motlotlegi le tsone di etle di goroge ko ditafoleng tsa rona le ba ministry wa rona, and ha rona re o ka re bonya tota ya bese ka mokgwaope. There can be a number of reasons as to why that is the case, but senka se go bolelang hela ke se go solohetsa, including those 4 people that you spoke about. If you can bring those cases to my attention or to my desk and that of the minister, we will ensure to move as swiftly as possible. It's not just the 4 people because you are bringing them here before the House, but we can only work on things eleng gore kana batho ba tsile go ikuela ra ke di cases tse di tshelang ra di bona, and then we can try best as we can to move as swiftly as possible. Me hela go tsaya ngwaga just go phimola menwana is something that we cannot accept as bogogi ba ko ministry that is involved with actually facilitating that through the president. I thank you.
Honorable Kapinga, supplementary.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. Honorable Monageng o ntse tsele ya bonya ja go disposa dikopo tse e nngwe ke nang le yone ke gore le setse le na le dikgwedi di heta 12 mo pusong a ga le se le bone kgotsa le lemoge gore bontsi ja dikopo tse di tang go go tautona di amana le melatonyana hela e kananyana e tshwana le bo use of insulting language. A mme le santse le bona go tlhokagala gore go iswe kopo e relating to use of insulting language go go tautona. A ga le bone phetogo e pele ka tanka yona go bona gore di ka ya ko moeteleding pele o sele go na le tautona yo ka di dirang ka bohego jo bo tlhokagala ka gore dio tse di emisa matshelo a batho.
Honorable Minister.
Re ke a leboga Honorable Kapinga. Ga gona nnete hetang yeo Honorable. Go na le tse dingwe tse eleng gore re tla be re di lebella le rona be re bona gore au le ha ibile go teng. Like just the one that you pointed out, for example, re tle re file gore nya mona mme gone hela it can be dealt in-house, or like you're saying, through a different department within the ministry without having to go through the president. Ke dio tse eleng gore di itemogetse Honorable Kapinga, and nka go ruruhaletsa ke go netehaletsa gore we are looking into that, because at the end of the day the key thing here is service delivery and ensuring hela mme gone gore motho a na tshwaretse molato e leng gore kana ene e le ngwana hela a lekeletsa dio tse dingwe. They must not now have a black mark on their head their entire lives, Honorable. Ra amogela kgakollo eo mme gape hela, let me just reaffirm that we are working towards go leka go decentralize, if you may, when it comes to that. I thank you.
Procedure,
Honorable.
Procedure, Madam Speaker.
Ke mang wa procedure?
Ke nna.
Procedure, Honorable Parisana.
Ke a leboga, Madam Speaker. Ga di ke iketsa le kau. Madam Speaker, I wish to invoke Standing Order 130.1 to suspend Order 40.7 to go beyond the allocated 45 minutes. Wa dipotso. Re tla re kgone go hetsa dipotso tse.
Honorable members, looking at our business today, ga e ntsi so ke go raya gore dipotso re di dire di hele jaaka setsa kopile. Honorable members, the question is that the motion be agreed to. The question is that the motion be agreed to. As many as have the opinion say aye. On the contrary, say no. I think the ayes have it. The ayes have it. We can continue. Honorable Ngawana Selebe Pikwe.
Madam Speaker. Potso ye ke neng ke botsa ke question number 9 me Honorable Minister responsible o kopile gore re later date for the 4th time.
Honorable Bagaisamang MP Shosho.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Ke a leboga, question number 10.
Honorable Minister for State President. Oh, sorry, my dear. There's a correction there. Okay, Minister of Lands and Agriculture, I'm sorry.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I am aware that land board members do not automatically get responsibility allowance increment whenever there are salary adjustments for the civil servants. This is on account of the fact that land board members, while being paid from the public coffers, they are not civil servants. The land board members are appointed by the minister responsible for lands in accordance with the provisions of the Travel Land Act of 2018, while the civil servants are appointed in line with the portions of the Public Service Act of 2008. Madam Speaker, the last inflationary adjustment of the responsibility allowance for members of the land boards was in April 2022 by 6% and backdated to September 2020. This was coupled by a further inflationary adjustment of 5% commencing in April 2022. Furthermore, the responsibility allowance was increased by 25% with effect from October 2022. The only time the allowances were not adjusted was in the year 2024-25 when there was an adjustment for civil servants. Madam Speaker, in terms of their conduct, in the execution of their mandate, the land board members are expected to abide by the rules governing the public service, principles of the Public Service Charter, ministry values, or any other code of conduct as may be issued from time to time. This is because they are an extension of the executive arm of the government. Part 2, Madam Speaker, due to financial situation and the liquidity situation in the country, there are no plans to award any financial increments to the land board members' allowances during this financial year. Part 3, Madam Speaker, the fan-shaped salary structure deals with progression in the public service. To that end, land board members would not be covered by the structure as they are not public servants and also hold positions which are not promotional. The entitlements are approved through executive powers. I thank you, Madam Speaker.
Supplementary.
Supplementary, Honorable Bagaisamang.
Ke a leboga, Madam Speaker. Ke a utlwa tona gore le supa gore mo part 2 there are no plans tsa gore le ka ba covera under the current financial year. Maybe le wa re part 3 ke gore position tsa bone they are not promotional. Mme anong ne kere ke botse ha o sena no tloga gore ka le ne le dirile thulaganyo le bone ka 2024 ga te gona le 30%. Ka di 18 tsa ga November gore le taba duela 30% gore ene le bokgakala jo bo kae le ene gongwe tate le ene aba nonotshe mo tirong ka ebile go supala gore ware their positions are not promotional, maybe under the current financial year there are no plans to. So ya 2024 ene le dirile tumalano le bone yone la reng ka yone. Ke a leboga tona.
Honourable Minister.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Mototlegi nya kganya 30% mototlegi e teng e re ntse tsone tse re misi buisangwe e be hela e bone tsela ya gore e tswe go ne buisantswe teng e gore go ne tshwana gore ga teng ke dikgantse ile gore tsone le ba le phata kana le khotla la batla ra e buisana gore gone ha madi a se mo sa madi se siama re itse gore go no gana le tumalano yo ya gore re tla ira jalo gore re tere khona gore re ba ke batho ba berekang thata gone ke itse gore go bokete ka gore tere batla ka bala ha se mme tota gone ha sentse gore motho a tuana go are a tuana ra gore le ene bana ba khone go bona phalitsinyana. Ke a leboga.
Honourable Tlhabologo Furniture, MP 30 East.
Madam Speaker.
Thank you. Honourable Khobutswang, MP Tswapong South.
Question number 12, Madam Speaker.
Minister of Health, Honourable Modisa.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, and good afternoon, honourable members. Madam Speaker, our ministry is aware of the circumstances of the Central Sterile Supply Department attendants. The job is currently graded at a B5 salary scale. It's a one-level job since its establishment. The job was recently revised on the 26th and 27th of August 2025, and a second level of Senior Central Sterile Supply Department attendant was proposed. The process is still ongoing with the Director of Public Service Management. In part 2, Madam Speaker, I am aware that the Ministry of Health is inundated with complaints from many employees on performing duties beyond their scope. The Ministry is currently working on resolving these issues through a restructuring process. Thank you.
Supplementary.
Supplementary, Honourable Khobutswang.
Honourable Minister, o te o bua ka Setswana yana ke itse gore o bua Setswana la se se thapile sentle gore wa re ke itse gore o motho o talented sekgwa le Setswana o di bua ka go tshwana ya re te ra ke bua ke botsa to ya rabe o papama le gore wa reng sentente wa re le mo tseleng ya go ba baakanyetsa a mme go ra gore tabo le ba go rutintshiwa yana e ba na le dithuto tse di tshwanetseng ka gore go le ba o kare ba thula hela ba thusa hela ba tsela ntseng jalo a mo a le mo ga gore mo it's exploitation o le gore mente wa human rights wa reng ka gone hela sentence ya lebo
Minister.
Ke a leboga Montutegi. Ya ke boammaaruri jaaka ke tlhalositse gore re itshwaragantsa le ba di-PSM gone go lebagana le mabaka a bone a pereko le gone go bona gore re ka dira yang jaaka ke bua gore re tsentse level e nngwe ya bobedi e le gone go lemoga gore go tswa go lowe ba ntse ba bereka hela e le level e nngwe he jaanong re lemogile dilo tseo re go botswang re le puso e kgathalang ka ditshwanelo tsa batho re dira gote go tokagatsa diemo tsa bone tsa pereko. Ke a leboga.
Honourable Musanana for MP Phologolo.
Ke a leboga, Madam Speaker. Question number 2.
Minister of Local Government and Traditional Affairs.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. In fulfilling the ministry's commitment and mandate to uphold stringent public health standards for meat products, the national enforcement efforts over the past 3 years have resulted in temporary closure of 64 butcheries nationwide due to critical and persistent failures in meat hygiene standards. It is important to note that once the affected butcheries have addressed the uncompliant, re-inspections are done and the operating license reissued. Madam Speaker, the reasons for these closures are unacceptable and pose a clear risk to customers. The inspections consistently cite 5 core violations, including the unauthorized sale of uninspected meat, gross deficiencies in the storage of perishable food items, maintaining filthy and unhygienic premises, widespread evidence of vermin and pest infestations, and the fundamental failure to utilize mandatory personal protective equipment by staff. The ministry is actively intensifying collaboration with local authorities to substantially increase the frequency of sport inspections, while simultaneously launching targeted sector-specific educational campaigns designed to drive sustained long-term compliance across every butchery in Botswana. Ke a leboga.
Supplementary.
Supplementary, Honorable Musana.
Ke a go leboga, Madam Speaker. Ke go leboga le wena minister ka karabo eo. Me ke re ke utlwa ha e le gore go tswetswe di le 64 nationwide. Me gongwe motho o ka batla go itse gore tse di tswetsweng ko kanye di kae ka gore potso e go etlwa ke diamo tse re di bonang ko kanye. Potso ya bobedi ke gore go na le bothata jo re bo itemogelang minister. Di butchara o tla itlhela ile gore ga go comply le melao e beilweng, the standards. Ke dumela gore go tshwanetse gore mo butchereng kapari e nne e tshweu ya mo go tshwanang le bo di boots, bo di mop caps, bo di dust coat kana di overall, but ga go diragale minister. Gona le ha ke wela kere gona le di khantse di kileng tsa trenda mo maranyaneng nako e telele tsa di shop tse di leng gore di apa dijo mo go tsone. Me kere a go mo go hedile kana ene ile gore phatsi ya la nako eo e be re ha ba thakanya ditsebe be go emisiwa gone ho. Ke a leboga, Madam Speaker.
Honorable Minister.
Thank you. Right. Mo potsolong ya me kana mo karabong ya me ga ke aka ka dira ka botlalo go tsaya dipalo tse di itebagantseng le kokanye. Mme ne ra itebaganya hela le bothata jo bo aparetseng lehatshe bo akaretsa le yone kanye. Michael a puso emsa ke go tlhabanela botshelo jwa motho go bona gore botshelo jwa motho bo a sireletsega kgatlhanong le dijo tsa letsatsi le letsatsi. Re tsamaela mo seemong sa prevention is better than cure. Re sireletsa botshelo jwa botsogo jwa Batswana go eta sengwe le sengwe. maybe re mo nako ya gompieno re tla gagamaletsa go diragatsa go bona gore botlhe ba ba neetsweng di-license tse le bagwebi e re ga ba dira dikhumo tsa bone bo ba itse gore ba baballa botshelo jwa motho ga se hela ka go dira madi ga bone le diprofiti ba tshwanetse ba itse gore re na le tshwanelo ya go tshela jaaka o bona gore lefatshe le Batswana re 2.3 million mme ebile re lwala go gaisa batho ba le bantsi thata ka jalo puso e tlhabanela go bona seemo sa gore botshelo jwa Motswana e ne jo bo nitameng ene ebile re ka se ka ra gatela ko tlase o boditse jalo ka potso ya gore a mme maloba re kile ra bona le gaketse thata go bona gore le campaigna go bona gore batho ba nna mo seemo retso re borutse letsholo le le masheta hela thata ba re ba leke ba tla bona sepoko re ta bontse re ba atumetse hela thata retso ke a leboga puso e mtsa ga ene tsa diemo tse di tseela ko tlase mme ebile re tla thusa bagwebi ka go ba ruta le go bona gore ba comply le melao e leng teng ke a leboga.
Honorable Khan for Samdira.
Question number 3, Madam Speaker.
Yanung kwena Khan. Minister of Local Government and Traditional Affairs.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. The ministry reaffirms that primary health care, PHC, is a fundamental cornerstone of a resilient, equitable, and efficient national health system. It has proven to be cost-effective and has indispensable role in achieving universal health. Through the National Health Policy, which is under review, government has committed to providing holistic quality health services through primary health care approach. Madam Speaker, the relocation of primary health care to Ministry of Local Government and Traditional Affairs is to enable and facilitate decentralization of primary health care services. Madam Speaker, it is envisaged that with this deliberate move, budget allocations, which were ordinarily disbursed from central level at Ministry of Health, is now allocated to local authorities. Madam Speaker, this will promote timely planning, response, action by respective local authorities. Madam Speaker, securing the future of primary health care requires meaningful partnerships, for no single entity can shoulder his responsibility alone. As you might recall, the ministry demonstrated its commitment to this collaborative approach by holding a high-level symposium in September 2025. The crucial event themed re-engineering the role of local government in democracy and development. Madam Speaker, and development agenda served as a vital platform to strengthen and stakeholders' collaboration with other players such as development partners, private sector, non-government, and community-based organizations. Madam Speaker, the advent of national health insurance has brought the Ministry of Local Government and Traditional Affairs and Ministry of Health even closer. NHI demonstrates the government's commitment to bridge the gap of inequalities as well as reducing the burden of high out-of-pocket payments for medical services. Furthermore, the health sector, True North, is clearly defined, enhancing healthcare delivery through national health services modernization, expansion, as well as development of critical infrastructure and services is key component of driving our True North. With this, Madam Speaker, we will see development of integrated indigenous medicines clinic, as well as smart community health clinics and intelligent farmer distribution network. This will ensure that citizens and rural communities enjoy the same standard of healthcare access. Thank you, Madam Speaker. Ke a leboga.
Honorable Hunyepa for Child Welfare Basic Education Minister.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Ke kope maitshwarelo mo go Honorable Unity Dow for the which I experienced. Ke re ke araba potso ya gagwe. Madam Speaker, the ministry is aware of the sorry state of many schools in Botswana, including those in Gauteng West. In other words, the concerns raised by the Honorable Minister, rather the Honorable Member of Parliament, are common in most of the 241 secondary schools across the country. Madam Speaker, we have 207 secondary schools, 32 senior secondary schools, and 2 unified secondary schools, and 779 primary schools across the country here in Botswana. The school condition assessment report that the ministry did shows that we have serious problems in the following areas across the country. Boarding facilities, they are very bad in 54 secondary schools, excluding primary schools in this case. 54 boarding facilities are in the red, very bad, including the facility being mentioned by Honorable Member of Parliament, Unity Dow. Ablutions and kitchens, we have 96 that are extremely bad in red. Water supply and sewerage systems, 91 secondary schools, very bad. Staff housing, 115 secondary schools. Academic facilities that are extremely bad, 102. Power upgrades, 71 secondary schools. Madam Speaker, Atisha Junior Secondary School, which is a boarding school, has grown in students' enrollment over time with an original expected enrollment of 360 learners originally. The numbers now stand at 486, which is an increment of 126 more students in a facility that was built for 360 learners, exceeding the original school facilities capacity. In some schools, Madam Speaker, enrollment has doubled, far exceeding the original capacity. However, it is our intention to collectively restore status of dilapidated facilities in the coming financial year to their original state. Our minister, Madam Speaker, has recently requested to establish an education facilities management company which will address the problems faced by our schools as a special purpose vehicle, SPV. The SPV will, among others, assume full responsibility for refurbishing, expanding, digitalizing, modernizing, and subsequently professionalizing the management and operationalization of public schools and associated facilities. Madam Speaker, as for food, the school has been given adequate funds to cover students' food at least up to end of term 3, which means this Thursday. The second part of the question, Madam Speaker, the ministry acknowledges the concern in relation to the condition of the old pit latrines at Rasisa Primary School, which was established in 1956. A challenge recognized across the constituency. While the priority of the Katlan District Council is to convert this to modern waterborne toilets, this has faced delays due to financial challenges. It is our hope that the same special purpose vehicle I've alluded to earlier will address this problem over time. In the meantime, Madam Speaker, I am informed a decision has been formally made by the Katlan Council to construct a much-needed waterborne toilet block at the school. This vital infrastructure project is planned under the Community Constituents Program for the 2025-26 financial year. Madam Speaker, lastly, the last part of the question especially, I would like to add that for further follow-up on the last part, I would advise the Honourable Member of Parliament to even engage the Ministry of Local Government and Traditional Affairs, who are responsible for the primary infrastructure. I thank you, Madam Speaker.
Supplementary.
Supplementary, Peter.
Madam Speaker, Honorable Minister, for that answer. And I must say, we are assessing what's on the ground right now. So thank you. My supplementary question is this. Botswana Economic Transformation Program, le maitlamo le maikaelelo a ministry wa gago gore e tla re ka gore bana ba ka January of 2027 bana ba le 76 ba tle ba khona go tswa mo go form 3 ba kwa go form 4 mme tla re ka January 2030 e be le 100%. Ke botsa gore a mme mo seemo se re le mo tshwanetse a ga o bona bana ba tishia le batsadi ba tishia ba dumela gore go mo go tla diragala re lebile go lwena o supa gore infrastructure ke ngwe ya dio tse di tlhokagalang gore go mo go diragala ke potso ya ntlha ya bobedi gape ke botsa gore mme gape ha ntse re lebile maikaelo le maitlamo a gago re a lebile mo page 141 yone ya Botswana Economic Transformation Program gore e tla re ka December ya 2027 bana ba botlhe mo Botswana average e be le gore ba ABC pass mo junior secondary e tle be le 45% mme tla re ka 2030 e be le 60%. A batsadi le bana ba teacher primary secondary ba dumela gore le bona ba tlo hitlhella re lebile ha sekolo sa bona se leng teng la bohelwe ke botsa gore a mme bana ba Rasisa primary ha o bona e tla re ka boammaruri ka December ya 2027 e be tota e le gore ba tsereng ABC ba tle be ba le 80% mme tla re ka 2030 e be le 90% ba tle go pasa hela jalo re lebile dikolo ka ha di ntseng ka teng le gona gore bonno le infrastructure di botlhoka la bohelwa ke re a wa itse gore madi a CCP a leng gore ko na tshwantse gore a ire di toilets re buang ka tsone ko Rasisa primary ga isa atle le gompieno gape ya bohelwa ke re a wa itse la ga ile re madi a filwe a theme tota hela ha o ka bona bana ba le gore ba ngotluwa ka gore phaletse ya ba eja e nyenyane mo facing ya me mme re bua bana ba ile gore ba gola a kere 14 year olds 15 year olds to ba ja gore ga o ka bona stokinyana sa bone sa nama wa bona phalešenyana ya bone o ka tlhomoga pele mo bo itse ba bona kana ga ba sa ja gone foo ga gona ko ba ka jang teng kere a gone ga re bone gone gore gape go ja sentle go botlhokwa gore re bone tsone dipalo tse re buang ka tsone tse ka nte maduo a re buang ka one ke a leboga ministera.
Honorable Minister.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Thank you, Honorable Dow. Hey, if it was possible, the initial ones. They are very important. They are very important questions. I will try where I can. They make reference to the Botswana Transformational Economic Program, especially with reference to 2027 and 2030. Like I stated earlier, we have set up, like Ineke Thalosa, Madam Speaker, we have set up the Education Facilities Management Company, which should be running within 3 months or less than that period of time, with a special purpose vehicle. The intention is that by next year, we should have raised enough funds. And in addition to that, we have development partners who will be on board by next year, early next year, by the end of this year, in the name of World Bank, who are assisting with funds to help refurbish this infrastructure. And what is very important, Honorable MP, is that the 76 students and the 100% that you are saying that will we achieve it by 2027 and 2030 respectively? Definitely we will achieve those. We speak with confidence that we will do our best together with you with such probing questions and with your input as well. We will work around the clock to ensure that this actually happens. The same applies to the ABC, 45% by 2027 and 45 and 60% by 2030. Trust us that we will work very hard to achieve that. It's something that we are very, very much determined. We want to improve the livelihood of our students. And especially with the special vehicle, the special purpose vehicle, we are confident by next year it should be rolling out, it should be rolling out its project, doing the refurbishment, building more classrooms so that we increase the enrollment of our students. In fact, we want the junior secondary schools to be 100% transition to senior schools, and therefore we'll have to increase the classrooms. So it's something that we are working around the clock, and by 2030, definitely, together with you and all members of parliament and everyone here, we will achieve that. In relation to the CCP funds, I agree with you that the funds have not been released yet, but we still have a number of constituencies who still have some funds from the previous financial year. And I will assume that some who have such funds, they are still continuing with their projects to develop projects in the respective constituencies. The issue of food, that is too little. I cannot dispute that. There's that possibility, Madam Speaker and Honourable Member of Parliament. But the report that we received is that resources funds have been provided up to the end of this term. And the intention really is to have our children to have nutritious food throughout the country. The concept of the English breakfast is premised on that we want our students to eat nutritional, well-balanced food and food that will be coming from our own country, especially that we will be rolling out very soon the homegrown feeding program. And it will be getting the food from our own farmers will be supplying the school and will reduce the import bill. I thank you, Madam Speaker.
Further supplementary?
Supplementary, Honorable Sir.
Kia go leboga, Madam Speaker. Mekere, Minister, kana go na le letshwenyego. Letshwenyego le letona la gore matitjhara ba ba neng ba moderator design and technology ga ba na le more than 2 months ba sa duelwe. And kana go tlhoka go duelwa hela ka bogone ke kgwele mo go yo sa duelwe. Jaanong ba re ke go botsa gore ba duelwa le ka gore ebile bone ba finance manager ka bana le mogala wa gagwe ebile ba amitse ga sa tlola tsa dikolo tsa bone mo bogompieno mo gore ang gore tota hela ga gona any communication so far. Jaanong o ba emisitse di cell phone tsone o di blockile. Ke a go leboga, Minister.
Honorable Minister.
Ke a leboga, Madam Speaker. Ke a go leboga, Honorable Mosanana, for that follow-up question. Although ke ne ke sa e planela ka kwana, me ke potso e botlhokwa la thata mo kaoleng gore kana motho ha sa ire tiro and someone has provided a service, that person has to be paid. So we'll make a follow-up to that. We'll engage Botswana examination councils this week so that we meet, so that they meet with us, the Ministry of Child Welfare and Basic Education officials, to appreciate such concerns. Honorable Mosanana, we'll do the best out of it. About the late period, especially we are about 2 months, we'll find out from the relevant authorities. I thank you, Madam Speaker.
Honorable Aaron for Honorable Mwalusi.
Question number 6.
Honorable Minister of Sports and Arts. Okay, Honorable Kelebe.
Procedure. How to be a later date, Madam Speaker.
Honorable Maplanka for Honorable Furniture.
Good evening, Madam Speaker. Potso kia le sume le bongwe.
Honorable Minister of Finance.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Thank you, Honorable Maplank. Well, the first part of the question is whether I'm aware of the long queues. Ordinarily, this sounds like a multiple choice question, and my answer would be yes or no. But the answer is, of course, yes, and the right thing is not to answer it as if it's a multiple choice question. So the right thing to do is to acknowledge your concern and to acknowledge that these long queues are actually a reflection of a number of things, a number of phenomena. They are certainly a reflection of the increased commercial activity during peak seasons. They are a reflection of the arrival of large volumes of transit cargo within short time intervals and the movement of high-value convoys that travel together for security reasons. They are a reflection of cross-border commercial traffic that exceeds the design capacities of older road infrastructures. I can go on and on about the truthfulness of your concern, which is that we are facing high traffic So now that we have established that I'm aware and that it is true and that it is a concern, perhaps now I should answer the second part of the question, which is what is the ministry trying to do to improve this situation? It's a whole raft of things. Some of them short-term, some of them long-term. I will share just a few. In the short term, additional officers have been deployed to support higher traffic volumes and provide continuous service during peak periods. The second, traffic flow management is being refined to ensure that different categories of cargo move more efficiently, including the swift processing of empty trucks to free up border space. The third, transporters and customs clearing agents continue to be encouraged to make the full use of advanced clearance mechanisms, particularly the electronic pre-lodgement of documents, so that the majority of formalities are completed before arrival at the ports of entry. The fourth, border agencies maintain constant coordination to ensure that permits, inspections, and related processes are handled in a timely manner, and operational teams remain on heightened readiness to respond to shifts in traffic volumes. The fifth, there is an engagement, ongoing engagement between the governments of Botswana and South Africa through our diplomatic channels to ensure alignment of border operations during peak periods. Madam Speaker, beyond these measures, government is advancing a set of strategic reforms that will substantially ease congestions at the ports of entry and position Botswana's borders among the most efficient in the region. Central to this work is the move towards 24-hour operations of major commercial border posts, including the Tlokweng border posts, which will expand processing activity and smoothen traffic flows throughout the day. The new facilities at Pioneer Gate border post support coordinated border management and facilities, joint and streamlined processing, thereby reducing clearance times. These facilities were actually developed some time past, and it is only now that we will begin to reap the fruits of their operationalization. In April 2025, Botswana and South Africa introduced an electronic customs data exchange interface that provides real-time advanced cargo information, strengthening risk management and reducing unnecessary interventions at ports of entry. Government views this as a key pillar of a modernized intelligence-driven corridor. In addition, Madam Speaker, the exploration of upgrading Ramotswa into a commercial border post will provide an extra route for cargo and help distribute traffic more evenly across the national logistics network. Madam Speaker, the Ministry of Transport and Communication and their counterpart in South Africa has been in consultation to come up with interventions to improve the bridge at Martin's Drift to accommodate the influx of traffic to Kazungula border. The Martin's Drift Road and Bridge is one of the BTAP projects, one of those prioritized for implementation in the 2026-27 financial year. Government is currently engaging development partners for financing of the project. Bilateral engagements with the Republic of South Africa is at an early stage. Madam Speaker, government remains firmly committed to ensuring that Botswana's borders operate with efficiency, predictability, and resilience. The interventions underway demonstrate a clear roadmap anchored in national interests to support sustainable economic growth, job creation, and the wider objectives of the national and regional development agenda. Government will continue to invest modern systems, infrastructure, and institutional capabilities to ensure that commercial border posts remain efficient gateways that facilitate trade, safeguard national interests, and support logistical aspirations of Botswana and of South Africa. I thank you, Madam Speaker.
Supplementary.
Supplementary, Honorable Nkawana.
Ke a go leboga, Madam Speaker, le mothusa tona ka karabo e utlwala e rotlhe re ne re sologetse gore re ka Batswana ba ka utlwa gore
Mothusa Tautona.
ga ke a
No,
bua-
Mothusa Tona.
Oh, ne ke akantse ka sebiro ba intshwarela mothusa Tautona. Ke ne ke re ke botse gore le ga gone re tabe re bola kgwebo ya dikoloi a puso ya rona ga ise ete ka tharabollo ya gore re ka dirisa terena ya rona jang go rwala dithoto ka gore yone e ka rwala di le dintsi ka bokete mme le ga e le bonya mme gone e ka fokotsa go thatagana ga dikoloi ko dibodareng e le potso ya ntlha ya bobedi ke gore mothusa Tautona o ne a bua ka gongwe le ka buisana ka go baakanya borogo kgotsa go thabolola borogo ba Matthias-Drift ke re la gone re ite re utwe dikarabo ka borogo jo le ja Platjane gore gongwe ke re go ka seke go lebelelwe jone ka gore bo setse bo le teng gongwe ga le jwa tsela nngwe e le gore go ka buisanngwa le baagisanye ba rona ba transfer la gore tsela e le e dirwe ka bogego go na le gore re be re ka gore ga se kganya madi a mantsintsi ke kganya go dumalana e be re nna le border e leng gore already setse e na le borogo jo ja segompieno ka leboga.
Honorable Minister.
Ke a leboga motlotlegi Nkawa. Me ke lebogela mahoko a ntseng wa bua gore o lebogela karabo. Le gape ke lebogela gore o akanya ka puo ya ko ga lona. Jaanong ke re e ya terena ke boammaaruri gore lehatshe la rona la Botswana tiriso ya rona ya terena le maungo a ne re ka bona ka go dirisa terena e ko tlase thata mme go nna ko tlase ga tiriso ya rona ya terena e dirwa ke dilo di le mmalwanyana. Sa ntlha e dirwa ke gore ka ga re ithulagantseng ka teng re ithulagantse ke ra real sector ka re ithulagantseng ka teng re ithulagantse ka mekgwa ya bogologolo ya segologolo e mo go yone komponi ya goromente e ne e le yone e leng gore e dira sengwe le sengwe e le nosi ke gore ke yone e agang seporo ke yone e baakanyang seporo ke yone gape e rekang diterena le matroko ebile ke yone gape e tsamaisang diterena le matroko mme ke re tsamaiso ye ga gona gope lehatshe le e leng gore ya e berekela jaanong re mo lenaneong la gore re baakanye tsamaiso ye ya segologolo gore re nne le thulaganyo ya gore paakanyo ya seporo go tsenya madi mo seporong go atolosa seporo go batlela seporo madi ke thulaganyo e harologanyeng le go reka diterena, go reka matoroko ke thulaganyo e harologanyeng. Mme ha re ka dira dilo tse ra di dira ka botswerere, re tla tsena mo seemo se leng gore re hella re na le seporo se se atogileng, re hella re na le diterena tse di tsamayang ka tse di tsamayang ka thulaganyo e mo go yone di kgona go ituela, se e leng gore re tla boela mo goreng batho ba kgone go tsamaya ka dikoloi, dithoto di kgone gore di hudusiwe ka ditlhwatlhwa tse di ko tlase. Tota karabo ya me ke gore re a dumalana, ke ne ke go kgwa dikgabahela gore re dumalana ka bokete mo e leng gore ebile ga se go dumalana hela, mme re setse re simolotse go ema ka dinao gore re tokagatse thulaganyo ya tsamaiso ya diterena, ka gore ke gone hela mo go ka re thusang gore re tlhabolole itsholelo ya lehatshe la rona. E nngwe ya borogo ba Plajana, ke dumela gore ke kgakollo, le ntsha kgakollo gore ha ile gore kgannye ga re ise re lebelle le gore ha ile gore re ntse re lebile mme jaanong re lebelle ka leitlho le le motšhotšho go heta jaaka re ntse re lebile. Mme ke re ke sa golege ba bangwe ko pele, mme ke re mogopolo ga o lebege o le maswe-maswe, ke gore tumelo ke se pehela mo botshelong se e leng gore se kgona gore se ituele, se tshwanetse gore se neelwe tšhono ya gore se tswelele pele. Jaanong ke a go sologetsa gore re tla e lebelela ka leitlho le le motšhotšho, mme re tla hetola gore re e bona ka tsela e ntseng jang, baitsanape ba e bona ka tsela e ntseng jang, le gore a ke dikgang tse di kgonang gore di ituele. Ke a leboga.
Order, honorable members. There is a question without notice by Honorable Aaron, MP for Chobe. Honorable Aaron. Okay, you're going to transfer.
Thank you, Mongashadiami, and let me appreciate for the special consideration that you gave to this question as a matter of urgency due to its immediate risk to the patients currently undergoing TB treatment, and as it affects the national health security and the integrity of the medicine supply chain, and as the National Assembly has a constitutional obligation to ensure executive accountability, and this question is question number 13.
Order. Just mention question number 1, Habat.
I appreciate Mungashediami. This is question number 13 that I would really appreciate that you give it time, as we have more than 2 hours or so to go, as it's a question of high.
Honorable Aaron. Honorable Minister of Health.
Yes, I think the honorable member is very passionate. I share the passion. Thank you very much for the question, honorable member. Madam Speaker, the Ministry of Health, through the Botswana National Tuberculosis Program, conducts routine surveillance of TB disease patterns and treatment outcomes. Through the surveillance, the program detected an unusual increase in TB treatment failure at the beginning of this month, with preliminary data indicating approximately double the number of cases compared to the previous year. Treatment failure, Madam Speaker, may arise from several factors, including suboptimal adherence, inadequate drug efficacy, or the presence of drug-resistant TB strains. Accordingly, this observation triggered an immediate and comprehensive investigation by the ministry to determine the underlying causes. In the course of this routine monitoring, the program also identified a quality concern involving a specific brand of TB medicine. This matter was promptly reported to the Central Medical Stores Quality Assurance Unit and to the Botswana Medicines Regulatory Authority, BOMRA. CMS has since quarantined the affected batch pending confirmation quality testing by BOMRA. Madam Speaker, I wish to emphasize that both issues, the rise in treatment failure and the medicine quality concern, were identified proactively through the program's established surveillance systems. Investigations are currently underway, and the ministry is examining all possible links between these findings. Patient data continue to be analyzed to determine the extent, the distribution, and the nature of outcomes observed. The ministry remains committed to strong and responsive surveillance mechanisms that enable early detection of potential risks and timely intervention, rather than relying solely on emergency-driven responses. As of today, Madam Speaker, no deaths have been reported or confirmed to be directly associated with the implicated commodities. Nonetheless, investigations are still ongoing, and the ministry will provide updates as new information become available. Madam Speaker, an import permit was granted to the supplier by BOMRA upon satisfying the documentary requirements to ascertain quality and safety. Third, Madam Speaker, CMS verifies the correctness of the ordered medicines versus delivered products, accuracy of their quantities, and compliance with the technical requested specifications. Laboratory testing is undertaken as part of the active post-marketing surveillance activities by the medicines regulator to detect and recall any poor quality products. Madam Speaker, the total cost of the procurement was 2,328,840. Madam Speaker, the procurement was undertaken through a local supplier when there was a delay in conducting the procurement of the TB medicines through the Global Drug Facility, GDF, functioning under the UNOPS Stop TB program. And it coincided with a time where there was a global shortage of TB medicines. Normally, as part of the risk management systems in place, the ministry procures all its TB products routinely through the GDF. GDF undertakes pooled procurement from WHO pre-qualified manufacturers. Additionally, Madam Speaker, CMS prioritizes procurement of products that are registered by BOMRA and ensures suppliers comply with the established pre-shipment inspections and testing requirements at the country where products originate before dispatch. Such risk mitigations ensure substandard products are detected early and also during the entire medication use process to ensure quality and safety. Madam Speaker, number 6, it is still too early to answer the question currently, as the full results of the analytical tests only would help the regulator to determine the course of action. Thank you.
Supplementary.
Supplementary, Honorable Aaron.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. One would like to know, with regard to this particular company, Ayasha Biotech, was this the first time that we procured medication through this company? And if so, if they qualified? And also, one would be very interested to know that this recall, or I wouldn't call it a recall per se, or this suspension, as it appears that it only talks about the medication that is already in the stores. What do we do about those medication that were already in patients' supply? Thank you.
Honorable Minister.
Yeah, thank you very much. With regards of whether it's the first time the company was supplying us, I don't have the answer to that. I can easily find that out for you. Like I said, we give preference to companies that are registered with BOMRA to supply us. And it's an actual recall, Honorable Member, because as you would have seen, the saving grant that you were sharing around, we wrote to everybody, the town clerks, the council secretaries, the hospital superintendents. This was a clear effort in trying to withdraw and call back the product. Thank you very much.
Supplementary?
Supplementary, Honorable Aaron.
No, this is misleading because I would like to point out that this is not recalling the medication from those who already been supplied with medication, but is to suspend already what is in the medical stores. Now, my question was, what did you do with those that already had, as patients, who already had this medication? And I would also like to know, when was this medication ordered or procured?
Minister.
Thank you very much. I mean, those are additional questions to which I'm happy to provide answers to. I mean, that was not part of the question, but let me explain the issue of the recall. When that happens, that means we write to all the facilities and they get in touch with those who would have been given that medication to bring them back. That's the whole essence of the recall. So it's not that this medicine is halted at central medical stores. Otherwise, the saving gram will have been in central medical stores right into themselves.
Procedure, Honorable Higwam.
Ke a leboga, Honorable Speaker. We talk about Honorable Minister and Honorable Member of Parliament for Ngami. Ba bua ka kgang e botlhokwa thata ye matshelo a batho a ikaegileng ka yone. Mathata ano le di-discussion tsa bone ba di confine to sekgowa, and go tlhalosa mo ke dumela gore gongwe go ka thusa le bone ba ba setse ba tsere one melemo ya teng gore ga to go diragala eng. If they can communicate ba ka bua ka puo ye mongwe le mongwe le yo leng ko semboyo tota a kgona go utlwa gore ha ile gore ke gore a buse a kgone go busa yalo, because ha ba itlanela mo sekgowe ina communication between them ile ene le mo parlamente hela gongwe ne re ka ba kopa gore a ba ka se ke ba tlhalose ka Setswana.
Honorable Minister, you are still on the floor.
No, I thought he stood on a point of procedure. So I was waiting to hear the ruling on the procedure. Absolutely. What is unprocedural about the language I'm using?
No, I think una le ka ho chipa ine gore procedurally can be in Setswana or in English.
Yeah, okay, fine. I'm quite happy to explain it in other language, but just to make it clear, this is not a conversation with me and the Honorable Member. The Honorable Member is making reference to a saving grant that was sent all over. So, has something that is new. The people, the town clerks have it, the people downstream where the medicines were delivered to have this. And the brief that I have is they are in touch with those that have been given these medicines with regards to this recall. And these medicines have been listed in the saving grant.
Yeah, Honorable Member, Honorable Minister. Kopo ke gore a ka o tlhalosalo ha se ro dirise Setswana gore ba utlwe kopo ne rialo.
Further procedure?
Supplementary, Speaker.
Further supplementary, sorry, ma'am.
Can't do it. Honorable Hobusa.
Kialoboga, Madam Speaker. Tona, Totago or Swanzo now Tahala. O Tahala, Robert, I would do put of Orion Tata Matsara about. What I can say is in me, second Savata was a what's like a Warla to Misa. It's our Kanye. It's an emergency. Karawata would declare a state of TB drugs emergency. Me our lemo or it is an emergency, number one. Number two, I know lemo or a same as a Sohanich. Karon Sengati. What did Totomiso? Why would do it? Lee. Carodition to Samela, Lissemo, Sergu and Carason. Sa bobedi go boditswe potso e nngwe ya gore gongwe ke botse potso ya gore di tsone melemo e tsamaileng ya kgotho le tona e bokete bokae e ntshitswe e tsamaileng e setse e buile yone e senang boleng e setseng dikokelwana di busitse le balwetse ba e busitse gore e te go quarantine ke bokete bokae a mme ditshenyegelo di ta boela puso e potso e boditsweng e sa yaraba gore di ta araba di ta boela puso potso e nngwe e le gore tota o ka bo e tsotsomise wa e lemoga ke gore nna ne ke tsa gore ka bo thodumetse khamphane e gore ditso tsa yone ke eng hela ke ra gore o ka araba dipotso tse dingwe around company ye reetsa company ye e go buang ka yone a mme go na le melemo e nngwe kontega ya kgotho le tona e le gore e rekitse goromente mme a e le gore go teng gore ka boetse supply le melemo e nngwe kontega ya kgotho le tona seemo sa melemo eo ke eng ora minister ke a leboga
Minister.
No, but the side remarks are really not helpful. I'm not going to comment on that. The saving grant to which you are referring to was issued by us. So you have no authority. You can't, it's not like you are jolting us into action. You know, we didn't realize that there was something going on. No, we did. We have surveillance mechanisms in place. And those surveillance mechanisms in place, in action, are the ones that caught this and brought it to your attention. So all this agility and aggression, no, we are the ones who set it out. And in terms of the company, I did respond to the honorable member earlier that I can find out that information from him. It's very easy to find the information. So adding additional questions on top of this one, just to show that maybe I don't have the answers to it, it's not what's helpful. I can go back and get that answer for you very easily. And if indeed there's more medicines that have been supplied by this company, we do have post-surveillance mechanisms that I've been talking about. If you were listening, they would have caught that already. So if they catch them, we'll follow the same process of removing these from public circulation. So I don't know what the big confusion is about, honorable members. Thank you.
Further supplementary.
Supplementary, Honorable Aaron.
Hey, ke a go leboga ke la ntha ke utlwa ministera a araba montu a re mapalamente they've got no authority go mmotsa ka saving grant e tswang ko go ene maybe le gongwe ke supe gore
point of order.
Ke supe gore
Point of order.
Point of order, Honorable Modisi.
I'm surprised that you're just going to let him say that. I never said that. I didn't say that. I said you're speaking like your authority. We are the ones who put it out. We put it out. So what are you saying?
Honorable Aaron, ha bua jaaka o bua.
ke kopa gore go checkiwe mahoko a buileng a re ka kopa gore go checkiwe gone yana go tshamekiwe sa tswa go se bua gore monna ha khona go itatola sa tswa go se bua in less than a minute ke potsa re ke o ka tshepiwang potso engwe ke sa utwang e tswa sentence
Yeah, wada a re riana.
potso engwe ke sa utwa e tswa sentence ke gore this batch
Nna ne ke akanya gore o tla mora gore a clarify gore na reng a ipueletse re motlo gore na reng ha ile gore na sa rialo ne ke akanya gore o more jalo
ke a leboga Madam Speaker ke kopa gore a clarify gore ona re ke ma sena authority ka ona sa bui ka rona le gore ga ke a utwa sentente a thalosa gore this batch e o darilwe le melemo yone e o darilwe le ka ra itse gore ka April ona ikile a bantue le hoko la gore re se ka ra tshwenyega mo go kalo dipilisi tsa TB le ha di seo in 2 weeks ba ta leka gore kana o ta leka gore a be di setse di gorogile go dipateleng le gore a gongwe ga se nngwe ya mabaka a dira gore abe o re dipilisi ga di kgone go alaga TB gongwe dipilisi tse ga di kgone ka mabaka a drug resistance ya gore batho ba kile ba nna more than 2 weeks ba sena melemo.
Honourable Minister.
You know, these are just questions all over the place, but I did say to the honorable member, I'm happy to provide answers to him. But just to clarify, I hear him bringing in the state of emergency and just conflating issues. I did say we do procurements through the Global Drug Facility. During a period when we were not able to, this company was engaged. And we have checks and balances and mechanisms in place to catch any inferior drug standard from the point it leaves port to the point it reaches the patient. So I'm trying to explain to honorable members that this is actually our own mechanisms in place at work. These are our own mechanisms. So it's like they're holding my feet to the fire for a system that works, that's supposed to work in this way. The additional questions, there are no problem, honorable member. Just provide them like you provided this question, and I'll provide answers. Thank you very much.
The supplementary.
Procedure, Madam Speaker.
Order.
Procedure.
Order, honourable members.
Procedure. Ke a leboga, Madam Speaker, ke a bona gore re tsamaela ko bokhutong. Mme ne ke re, Madam Speaker, kana go letse go diragetse metholo maabane, mme ne ke re, kana rona re tse re itlhalositse gore seemo sa rona ke eng. Jaanong ne ra lemoga gore ne la tswelela ka debate, mme mapalamente otlhe a ka kwa a le konte ga Honourable Mokgware ga ba ka ba debate a very important motion, a bill. Ke re ke ipotsa gore, Madam Speaker, a mme le bona a ne ba le mo seemong sa rona hela ne ba sa tswela konte kana jang. A mme, Madam Speaker, a o ipone a o robetse sente go buiwa ka go baakanya molao motheo, mme go bo go debate motho a
Point of order, Madam Speaker.
ke sa buika tautona ka gore ene na tlile go itse ka hela ka dikgang tse di molategetseng ha sala nna mo a practice ke bua ka batho ba be ne ke re, Madam Speaker, a o ra gore o letse sente hela go buiwa ka molao motheo mme be go le ba bedi hela mapalamente wote ba ne ba le mo teng ba tshwana le ba ne ba le konte. Ke a leboga, Madam Speaker.
Ja, ne ke re maabane ha go hela ke ne ka ema ka nna ka bula floor ke butse gararo go sena pa o ema go supa re ne ba kgotswehetse honorable ke dikile na khela tota, and then ka bitsa ka re ke a tlhalosa no ngwa bua ga se re ano re tswale.
Nya, Madam Speaker. Nya, Madam Speaker. Nya, Madam Speaker. Nya, Madam Speaker. Point of order, Madam Speaker.
Point of order,
Yes,
Honorable
Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, you can't answer this thing. You can't. Are procedure, but there is nothing the same procedure. Don't answer these things. Now you are honoring it, Madam Speaker. Don't answer him.
Yes, please
Just overrule him. Procedure. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Honourable members, we have now completed today's business in our order paper. I shall now call upon the Leader of the House to move a motion of adjournment.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. As we have concluded items on today's order paper, I now move that this House do now adjourn. Thank you.
Order, honourable members. The question is that this House do now adjourn. Order, honourable members. The question is that this House do now adjourn. As many as have the opinion say aye. On the contrary, say no. Ayes have it.